Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today I'm sharing 6 top performing concealers. These are concealers that I love. I have shared all of these at some point here on YouTube, and I really just wanted to narrow it down to 6 that I would recommend. And I have you covered in drugstore and also prestige cosmetics. So I've got 3 from the drugstore and 3 that you would buy at a Sephora or a Nordstrom or an Ulta. And I got you pretty covered as far as like coverage goes. So these aren't all full coverage concealers and they're not all natural concealers. They're kind of a good mix of price point and finish and coverage. So let's go ahead and get started. We will start with prestige. Let's start with prestige. Nope, let's start with drugstore because I feel like that is what most of you would love to hear. So we're gonna start first with the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer. I adore this concealer. It is such a great performing concealer. It gives full coverage. The finish of this concealer is very natural, meaning that it's not gonna look really creamy or radiant, but it's also not gonna set down to a powder or matte-like finish. It is very easy to blend into the skin. A little bit goes a long way. It's very heavily pigmented. It kind of reminds me a bit of maybe the Tarte Shape Tape, like creamy version of that concealer. I love the texture, consistency, the blendability, the wearability, the longevity, all of those itty things. They all so good. I'm the shade 350 Bisque. That is the shade that I am, and I like to apply, well, for all of these concealers really, I like to apply a little bit in the inner corner, a little bit in the outer corner, and blend. Some of these concealers are a little more lightweight and sheer, so you can apply more, but this one you really don't need to do. Excellent concealer from the drugstore. In fact, this one I have in several shades and I pack it in my makeup kit. I've been doing a little bit more makeup these days just for like special friends or events, and I needed to restock my kit because, you know, I kind of threw out all the old products that I had because they were years old, and this was the concealer of choice. This was the concealer of choice that I stocked my makeup kit with. Just a little fun fact. Okay, next let's talk about a radiant finish and creamy concealer from the drugstore. The Neutrogena Radiant Cream Concealer, Healthy Skin, is an excellent concealer. And I've had this for years. I actually, not this particular one, but I've been using this concealer for years. And I actually keep this downstairs, like where I get ready just for the day when I'm not working on YouTube or filming content, I'm just throwing on some makeup. This is one of the concealers that I keep in my little drawer. And I am the shade in this, also Bisque. Are we Bisque in both? Yeah, we are Bisque, which is also light medium in this. So this is very creamy. This does have a little bit of a radiant finish. It kind of reminds me of the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. It's almost probably a dupe to that. What do you think? Have you tried those both? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. This coverage is about medium. It's not a full coverage concealer. You're gonna get more of like a natural medium finish from it and coverage. Very beautiful, very long wearing, gives just enough coverage. As far as how much you wanna apply of this, I would say you can apply a little bit more than like the L'Oreal because it's not as like heavily pigmented, but it's not a sheer concealer, so you don't want to apply too much. Start a little bit in the inner corner, outer corner, blend that out, see if you need to build more. This is a buildable concealer, meaning you can put a little bit more on and blend it out, and you're not going to run the risk of it looking heavy or cakey. Beautiful concealer, especially for anyone that has really dry under eyes. I would recommend this one. Okay, the last budget-friendly concealer that I have is the Revlon Candid Concealer. This one is such a great lightweight concealer. This is more on the lighter sheer side in terms of coverage and finish. The finish of this concealer is pretty natural as well. So this is going to be not as creamy as either of these two. It's going to be a lighter, more natural finish. The coverage is lighter and a little more sheer. You can build it if you want more coverage, but this is not for someone who wants full coverage from a concealer. This pairs really well with the foundation, the Candid foundation. In fact, they kind of remind me a lot of alike of each other, very light and sheer. I love the applicator of this. It's a little wand that's kind of flat. Just makes for easy application. I highly recommend this one. This is a great one for the days that you're going to the gym or just running errands and you don't want, you know, like a really full coverage under eye because maybe you're only wearing a tinted moisturizer or maybe you're not wearing foundation at all. So when you're not wearing foundation, you definitely don't want a full coverage concealer because that looks odd. You need something that looks very natural and just seamlessly blends into the skin. This is good. And I'm also the shade Bisque. Who knew? So all 3 of these shade Bisque. Okay, let's jump over to more prestige concealers. Now we're gonna start with the one that I think is probably probably, if I had to pick like my one, if you made me pick the one concealer, this would be it. It's the Pat McGrath Sublime Skin Fetish Concealer. I'm the shade LM9. Now, this is full coverage, and I think what I love about this concealer and why it makes it my top favorite is because it is full coverage, but it does not look heavy. It lasts all day long. The texture of this is very unique. It's almost like this gel-like serum texture. You will know once you try it. If you've tried this and you know what I'm talking about, let me know down below. Full coverage, highly pigmented. You don't need a lot. A little bit goes a long way. It looks beautiful on the skin. It just like smooths out texture under the eyes. It's just everything you would want in a concealer. Now, the reason this wouldn't work for you is if you are someone that doesn't wear foundation or you don't want full coverage, you want something more natural. This is not natural. This is gonna make you look like cancel it all out, take it all out. So I don't wear this on the days that I'm not doing a full face of makeup. If I'm doing just like tinted moisturizer, a little blush, mascara, I'm not gonna do this because this will look odd. It'll look just too much. But I love this formula. The next one is very similar to it. It's the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. I would say this is very similar in terms of coverage and texture, payoff, and finish. Actually very similar. The main difference between these two is the applicator method. So this one has, the Pat McGrath has a wand that you swipe on. A little bit goes a long way, you guys. Just the inner corner, outer corner, then go from there. This one is actually a little, pump that you pump out. I would say for that reason, this gets a little bit of a ding from me because it's, not the most convenient, and you typically end up pumping out way more than you need. If you can be like really like careful and cautious and slow with the pressure that you put on here and get out the tiniest bit. I mean, I'm talking, let me show you. I'm talking like let's show you. Okay, so this is probably what I would use. Okay, let me show you what an actual full pump looks like. So that is what a full pump looks like underneath, and then on top is what I will actually use on my eye. If you pump out a full pump of this and then you put this under both eyes, you are gonna feel like this concealer is way too heavy. Do not do that. Use the top example and pat that on your eyes, blend out, and if you need a little more, maybe go in with just the same amount and do it. But this is just way too much for underneath both eyes. Anybody's. That's how I feel. Let me know if you agree with me or if you disagree with me. And in the shade, I am shade NW25 in this. All right, you guys, let's talk about the last pick. And this is a new concealer. It just launched this year, like a couple months ago, I think. This is the Bobbi Brown Skin Full Cover Concealer. And I have the shade Beige. I adore this concealer. This is a very like creamy, hydrating concealer. So if you're drier under the eyes, highly recommend this one. So it's great if you're dry under the eyes because it's creamy and hydrating. But even if you don't have dry under eyes, it's not too creamy to where it's gonna sit in your fine lines or move or migrate into texture. Sometimes when you work with concealers that are too creamy, they don't really set and then they move. So yes, it's great that they feel like radiant and creamy, but then it's not great if like 30 minutes later, they're like moved all into a fine line. That's not cute. This does not do that. This stays in place, it sets, it has a natural finish, it's not super radiant, excellent coverage, like full coverage. Little goes a long way. I also love the applicator on this. It is a wand and it has like this little kind of teardrop shape to it. It's just really good because that little point just gets right there in the inner eye. It blends out beautifully. This is a great shade for me, the shade Beige. Love, love, love this. If you haven't picked this up yet and you like some good coverage, I highly recommend this one. So that wraps it up. Those are my current top 6 concealers of the moment, both drugstore and prestige. I'll have them all listed along with my shades in the description box below. So if you had any questions or you didn't catch it in the video, it'll all be down below. Let me know what your top concealers are. If you had to pick 3, if you just had to pick 3, and maybe some of you are like, I don't own 3 concealers, I own 1. Let me know. Just let me know what your top holy grail concealer is and why. Sharing is caring. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I always appreciate the time that you spend here with my channel, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.